All right, the Affordable Housing Subcommittee meeting is now commenced. It's April 17th at 4 p.m. This meeting is being held virtually. For those who are participating remotely, we ask you mute yourselves until called upon to speak to avoid feedback and background noise. For those who have dialed in using the call-in number to unmute to speak, dial *6 on your phone. And that you only use the chat function to request to speak. Also, to comply with the state open meeting laws, attendance and votes will be done by way of use of roll call. So I'm just going through list here. So we've got Maggie Amato Tejas is also part of the subcommittee.
That's correct. I sent her the registration link. Hopefully she'll be in.
Kenny's actually part of the desegregation subcommittee. So there's just the three of us. Okay. So for roll call, we got Mary Ann Bierling and me are present. Mary Ann. And then our ex officio members, David Wall, Mike Edmonds, and Megan Headings are present. Okay, so Maggie's the only one that's missing. Is there any other ex officio members? I think the other ex officio member is
Jason Heisey.
Jason.
And he's not in.
Yeah. I'm having a brain fart. What's the county's representative?
Marcos Ishmael.
Marcos, yeah, Marcos. Isn't he also part of the subcommittee?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Larger group.
Oh, Maggie's here. Great. Let's add her. So we've got everybody here. Hey, Maggie, how are you?
I'm good. Hi, everybody. Sorry, are we getting links to this thing? Because I looked everywhere. Couldn't find it. But
It should have been on the invite.
I don't know. I looked at my Outlook calendar. Anyways, we'll figure that out before the next one. And that's, I think, why partly seeing these meetings is that it's for whatever reason not populating my calendar. So I apologize. Glad to be here.
Hey, Jim, maybe we can chat about this later, but I also didn't get an invite. What happened with me was I went up to our webpage, the CEHD webpage, and then kind of signed up. And then the email came and I've been plugging it in my calendar manually. But again, we can chat about it later because I guess I'm on the subcommittee, but I'm not absolutely sure, but I'm here.
Okay, welcome. All right, so our first agenda item is the call to audience. So is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak?
I don't see any hands up.
Okay. Okay, so we basically, guys, have two agenda items to talk about today. The first one is to review the goals and objectives for the Affordable Housing Subcommittee, kind of looking forward to the stuff that came out of our retreat. And, um, let's see here. I need to pull that up. Okay, so can I share my screen? Neto, am I able to share my screen?
Yes, you should have that now.
Okay. All right, can you guys see this?
Yep.
Okay. So this came out of the retreat we did in February. These are the missions and the goals. So I was gonna just review kind of the overall commission, mission statement first. So that's shown right here, that the commission will review, investigate, and recommend actions to mayor and city council based on research data and inclusive public input to ensure that all Tucsonans have an affordable place to live. Focus areas for the commission are to develop and preserve affordability for all Tucsonans, including renters, homeowners, and those without housing, to protect barrios and communities from rapid change and displacement, as well as structural disinvestment. Collaborate with landlords and developers in providing equitable, accessible, and affordable housing, quality affordable housing. And lastly, to serve as a forum for community collaboration and education around issues of equitable, accessible, and quality housing. So the first group question for this group is there any comments or thoughts or changes to the commission's mission statement?
Jim, I thought at the meeting, the whole group agreed on this together, and so
So this is a done deal? I missed that
yeah,
meeting.
that's a done deal. I think we're only supposed to be looking at the objectives and goals for the housing subcommittee.
Okay. Then scratch that question.
Okay,
Okay, so here are our affordable housing goals. And these are really not that different from what we had before.
mhm.
But first is to provide a set of recommendations to mayor and council on activities, levers, and tools that the city can leverage to preserve and increase affordable housing, to identify and advocate for new funding sources for preserving and creating affordable housing, and to establish and monitor progress towards a goal of X, which we're going to talk about next, affordable housing units within the city of Tucson.
Yep, I'm good with it.
Are there, so in addition to changes, I guess, to these goals, I mean, we could add a goal or come up with a suggestion of other goals that we should be looking at going forward. But this is really a question on, I'd say for the next 2 to 3 years, what do we as a subcommittee want to try to accomplish? That's the question.
From what I recall in the meeting that we had with the full commission and the mayor, was that, we thought that we would have enough to do with all of this in terms of the identification and advocacy for new funding recommendations, and then monitoring the progress toward the goal of affordable housing units within the city. My feeling is that, especially in number 3, and number 1, there's going to be a lot of subcategories for us as we go through this. So I don't see the need to add anything more unless we do like what they did in the housing segregation number 4, which is to collaborate with the city of Tucson to develop a set of indicators, to measure the goal of affordable housing units. That's the only other thing I could think of us adding.
Mhm.
Maggie, what do you think?
I'm thinking. I seem to remember, and I don't know where my notes are from our retreat, but I seem to remember kind of like having discussions around, are we biting off more than we can chew? I mean, are these goals something that we are all willing to work on, and what will it take? I remember having that. So, advocate, so provide a set of recommendations on activities, levers, tools the city can leverage to preserve and increase affordable housing. I think it's vague enough that we know, but what does that mean? Like, do we all get together and research, or I don't know. The same with number 2. So I think these are good goals. I think, the big discussion will be number 3 is determining that number. I do know that I want to make sure that whatever that number is, that we are identifying affordable home ownership and affordable rental units. One thing I've been always concerned with is that, we keep on lumping it all together under affordable housing, but the reality is we talk a lot about, LIHTC and affordable rental, which is wonderful, and we need that. But I also think that affordable home ownership is where, we make meaningful, provide meaningful opportunities for people to create net worth, to create wealth. And I think that that's important. And I don't believe in the narrative right now where, oh, houses are so expensive and rates are so high that it's an impossibility. This is part of what I think we should be doing to ensure that it is still something attainable. Anyways, that's my 2 cents for right now.
Can we hear from Megan? Because she was at the commission meeting.
Yeah, thanks for putting me on the spot, Mary Ann.
David, you're next.
It's just us. It's just us.
I don't know, like, I think that these are good overarching goals, and to Maggie's point, it's gonna be what's in the specifics, that you're gonna create for this year, and making sure that we have that developed and identified. I don't see necessarily any objection to anything that's currently stated. The how a lot of that, how you want to go about it is going to probably also be challenging, but they seem like fairly good, sort of high achieving marks for us to try and work towards.
Hey, Jim and or Neto, was this document shared out at all? I don't remember if we were supposed to.
Yes, it was.
It was, okay. All right.
I'll resend it to you.
Thank you. My fault. Again.
So David Wool, how does this line up with the goals, the affordable housing goals that the Pima County group has?
I think Pima County looks, and Megan can correct me if I'm wrong on this. We also look at regulatory stuff. So for example, there are, we've had discussions of zoning changes that the county can make. So it's not just funding.
Mm-hmm.
It's also the regulatory environment. But I agree with Megan. These are certainly pretty vanilla overarching goals.
Yeah,
Well, and even to your point, David, I think number one could encompass regulatory, but that's a really good point that like.
I agree.
Yeah, like specifically this committee should be looking at. Is that also a piece of what you're looking at? But some of those tools the city could leverage may fall into one.
I think it, actually, looking at any of these, I wouldn't think of regulatory. I think we need to add that as a fourth point.
I'm just going, I'm pulling up my Pima County,
Okay,
so bear with me.
The the other piece on that, like I think on the, in terms of creating, you know, one of the county's current goals is that dashboard and looking at the numbers. And so, you know, maybe that's a piece of like just. I thought originally that was intended to be a collaborative approach with the city, but I may be wrong on that, but it would be maybe nice to identify. You know, is that dashboard going to be something that's utilized by both the county and the city? And is it specific to be able to drill into city data? But I'm not sure now.
which dashboard are you referring to?
The county is working on a dashboard that is supposed to sort of, you know, so they have an RFP out, I believe, right now for, you know, trying to identify a company that'll help create that. And Sarah Magason, if I can ask of you, do you know if that's still being worked on with the city, or is that was a long time ago? Okay.
Yeah, and I'm on the review panel for the selection committee for that RFP. So I'm reviewing those submittals right now. I can't dive into any specifics because there's all sorts of sort of non-disclosure stuff while we're in process of reviewing it. But yeah, I think once I review and see what the scope is, and then we come back to the full commission, I think with our recommendation. I'm not sure about those next steps, but yeah, the intention was that it was to be used by both the county and the jurisdictions within the county. Does that mean that it will be to the extent that we think will be helpful for the city? I'm not sure yet. But I will keep you guys updated as I learn more and finish the review process for the submittals.
David, what do you read about the regulatory reviews?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
What do you have that you've pulled up regarding the county and regulatory?
Well, I'm just looking right now.
Okay.
You want me to read it, David?
Yeah, if you got it.
Well, they have, so the county's commission has, I think it's 5 total recommendations. And so the first one is a regional housing body facilitates building more housing. 2 is streamline development processes, promote housing density, infill, and more affordable housing. So that's specifically where that's been looking at some of the regulation. Housing market dashboard drives investment across the continuum. That's one we just spoke about. Keeping people housed by reducing barriers to affordable housing, and then leverage innovations.
So 2 and 4 are really dealing with regulatory, and that, well, actually, we're probably looking at a similar document. And then there are actually 9 purposes that the commission has. I won't bore you by reading them all. But let's see, there's the recommend actions and policies that help individuals access and retain. Annually assess the impact of Pima County's efforts to promote service integration, improve financial access, and reduce barriers to accessing and developing. Promote collaboration and coordination between governmental agencies, NGOs, advocates, and the housing development community. Provide oversight and transparency for funding, blah, 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 blah. Make recommendations to the board to guide change and improve the way Pima County develops solutions and innovations regarding affordable housing, and share commission findings and discussions with the broader community. Hey, we're doing that right now.
Okay, so, thank you, Jim and Maggie and everybody else. How about something like this as a number 4? Making recommendations to mayor and council to streamline the housing development process and guide changes to regulations that are barriers to development.
Making recommendations to mayor and council, say that again?
Making recommendations to mayor and council to streamline housing development processes and to guide changes to any regulations that are barriers to development.
I can't write this fast. So make recommendations to mayor and council to streamline housing development processes.
And guide now I've streamlined housing and guide changes to regulations that are barriers to development.
Or do we want to say identify and resolve those barriers or something like that? I don't know. That's more of a.
I
that's
making
role.
recommendations to streamline housing development processes and identifying regulations that are barriers to development. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think that, I mean, I hear, that's your forte and Jim's and Gigi's, right? So I hear Gigi grumbling about some rules or whatever. And so I don't know really how to articulate it, but I think, first of all, kind of making sure that we've identified what those issues are. And, that the city also help identify those and maybe in a collaborative manner. And then, like really making steps to, I don't know, correct it. I don't know. So.
I think that sounds great, actually. So here's what I have written down is making recommendations to mayor and council to streamline housing development processes and identify regulations that are barriers to development.
Yep, that's fine.
Yep.
Thank you, David and Megan.
So, when I look back at the last set of recommendations that we made to mayor and council, let me find those here.
So are we moving on? We're 1,
No,
2, 3, 4. We're done with.
no,
Walter?
but I'm, we came up with the beginning of 23, some recommendations on what we thought the city should do to increase the supply of housing. So the first one was to reinstate the city of Tucson's housing trust fund. Second one was to direct development services to review and change zoning regulations in order to encourage affordable housing projects with specific attention paid to density, setback requirements, building height, and a more streamlined process for zoning changes. The third one was to direct staff to evaluate the potential of adding an affordable housing bond or tax measure to go to the voters. And then the last one, which I think is really the only one that's been done, is a fast track approval process with development services.
So is your point that we don't have anything in here as a follow-up with the city
Well, I mean,
to
they
measure progress?
basically asked us to talk to the county and to work with the county on this bond measure.
Right.
So, I guess that kind of falls under number 2. Identify and advocate as advocating for new funding sources. you know, the rezoning changes. I know that Development Services is talking about it, but it's just talk at this point and figuring out if there's things that can be done to help encourage more housing. So that kind of falls in line with this fourth item that we just talked about.
Yeah,
So, you know, I guess there's only so many things that we can do, right? There's only so many things the city can do to get more affordable housing. And, so I guess, you know, kind of what I was thinking is that we might be drilling down to the next level of detail and say, okay, well, what do we need to do to actually make these recommendations that we've already given a reality? And I guess that kind of falls in line with our affordable housing goals.
right. Number one, instead of having short and midterm goals in parentheses, it could say provide a set of recommendations to mayor and council on activities, levers, tools the city can leverage to preserve and increase affordable housing with short-term and midterm goal oversight. Or goal, short-term and midterm goal follow-up.
I don't see how we can, you know, force action from anyone else, so I think we want
I think
maybe,
yeah,
we-
it's just advocating on behalf of it.
yeah. So
Yeah. But I think, you know, the mayor wanted us to, you know, Jim, you had that conversation with her where she asked us to, you know, be sure we're following up. So I think if we say and increase affordable housing and then add with short-term and midterm goal follow-up, that's all we're doing is following up.
do we want to put dates in those
No,
recommendations?
no.
Like dates, well, what does short-term and long, midterm then mean?
I think that's something that this is just our bigger goals. I think that's something we do for within the subcommittee, depending on whatever the issue is or the recommendations are. So I think they're going to be specific to whatever they are.
I would think short term is within the next 2 to 3 years. And long term is like a permanent, you know, long-term goal. So number 3 could be now a short-term goal. I don't know. I mean, okay. I don't know that we need to add follow-up to number 1. I think advocating for, I think insinuates the follow-up. Because, you know, we're providing a set of recommendations to mayor and council, and they say yes, but I don't think it's our job to say, okay, you said yes, but it's not happening. I'm not sure that that's kind of within our purview. You know, I think we could probably just keep recommending the same thing over again and let them approve it again. It's probably the best way to do it if we're going to do it. We still think that this is the best thing that the city can do to encourage more affordable housing is these items, which is the same thing we said 2 years ago.
Okay.
But okay, so I guess I'd just like to hear from everybody one last time. Do we want to add a 4th item to the goals, which is streamlining the housing development processes and identify regulations that are barriers to development? Is that
Yes.
something everybody feels comfortable with?
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's a good one.
Okay. David, Megan, Sarah, you guys agree?
I would definitely support that. I think calling it out is a helpful one at this moment in time. The other thing I was just gonna mention is, these are sort of your higher achieving goals, but like, I think this subcommittee probably should spend some time diving into what are the activities that you're hoping to achieve this coming year to align with these goals, and that's where you can maybe get into some of that detail a bit more, so you're not throwing it into the
Right.
goal itself. I would support, though, to Maggie's point earlier about home ownership, that when you, in goal number 3, you could specifically declare both, so that it is identified of both rental and, home ownership opportunities, but just a suggestion.
Do we want to change that? I'm okay changing that.
So is that X mean it's a number?
Yeah, X is the number that we're trying to fill in. And, so that's what we're gonna be talking about next. So if we go with the 15,000 by 2030, that's what that would state.
So the commission, the full commission was part of that discussion. Right?
Mhm.
So we don't want to change that. And go through all of that belaboring and talk again. So,
Yeah.
but I think
kind of agree.
establishing and monitoring progress toward a goal of 15,000 affordable housing units, including rental and home ownership
Well, in the
within the
document,
city of Tucson.
in the document that, Jim was working on, that was, I think, ultimately submitted, there was a set aside, I think there was a differentiation between affordable home ownership and affordable.
Yeah, that's that document, but for this, establish and monitor progress toward a goal of, so many affordable housing units, including rental and home ownership. That's
yeah,
the bigger goal.
Yeah, that, I think, as long as we are referencing both. in that.
Yeah,
And,
that document has not been submitted.
oh, it hasn't been?
No,
Dang, we've talked about that a long time, I thought.
I
it was.
know.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, we're gonna talk about that the next agenda item, but I think there's still some going back and forth over the exact numbers that are in there, so. Okay,
So on number 3,
so number 3, we're gonna add in parentheses, both rental and home ownership after affordable housing units.
well, can it just be comma, including rental and home ownership?
Sure.
Yeah,
Yep, okay. Do we need to have do we need to do a vote on this, Neto? Probably should. Okay, so, since there's only 3 of us, I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion that, we accept the, recommendations for the affordable housing goals with the 2 changes. The first being, adding the words including both rental and home ownership after affordable housing units on item number 3, and then add item number 4, which is making recommendations to mayor and council to streamline housing development processes and identify regulations that are barriers to development.
second,
Okay, got a second. Any further discussion? All right, Mary Ann? Call
yes,
the vote. Aye or nay?
yes,
Aye. Okay, Maggie?
I,
Okay, David, Megan, and Mike, you guys are all good with this too?
Yes,
Heck, yeah.
Okay, all right, thanks, guys. Okay, So we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is the affordable housing goals. Let me pull this up. You guys see this?
Yes.
Okay. I think, does everybody have the email I sent out earlier? Probably Mike, you didn't get it. Let me forward that to you real quick here.
I got it.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
Okay, this. All right, I can see it.
Okay, so Megan, not Megan, Sarah Meganson. Do we think that these numbers are still good?
I was gonna kind of speak up to that, and I don't know. I don't know where those numbers came from. I guess they're from the map dashboard potentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not, Sarah.
It's not.
It's from the National Low Income Housing Coalition's annual gap report.
That's right.
Extrapolated like
So it-
from the whole state to kind of Tucson, right?
Nope, they put Tucson specific. However, that is last year's report, Jim, and they just released a new report. So there is an update to it, but I would say it is dated, when you pull the report, it is dated 2022. So I don't, how they're grabbing their information. I don't know how outdated that is.
Do you have that report?
I just put the link to the updated. So it increased, so the deficit is currently 26,000, just over that for the below extremely low income, which is 30% or below AMI. And then it increased 34,568 for 50% AMI.
And Megan, do you know where they get that data from?
I don't. They actually they put a link, like you can, American Community Survey
That's what I
and
thought.
ACS
that's what I
Public,
thought.
yes. Sorry, go
Right.
ahead, David.
That's what I would figure. So it's the community survey is a census estimates. So it's hardly it's deeply extrapolated. I mean, it's as good as there is, but it's not great. And it's also several years behind.
It's behind, which is unfortunate because I think we can just all agree that it's likely larger, not small.
So the at or below 50%, is that inclusive of the 30% or on top of the 30%?
Mayor and council a while ago, do you have that letter you can put up?
My understanding is it's inclusive, David.
Okay. All right, that makes sense.
Okay.
But I would also say, Sarah, there is a link, not that you want to go down this road, but that there is an email that you can email for more information on the margin of error and stuff with them. And he is a very nice guy. He's very smart.
Yeah, and I'm trying to pull up the RFP that the county put out, but I think task 2 of that RFP is a housing needs assessment. And I really feel like that's kind of what needs to happen, is a real needs assessment, because
Yeah.
then it's just sort of specific to our community and our market and not like from a state perspective. And so I think that
This is
Our-
Tucson specific though, right?
right,
From-
but the Pima
from-
County thing is going to look at the region, the metro, including the different municipalities,
Okay,
right?
so we're
Like-
just talking about Tucson for this purpose.
right. But
Okay.
I guess what I'm saying is that next study is going to come up with more numbers that are more specific to our region and not state numbers that are based
Yeah.
off of just American Community Survey.
Okay.
So thinking that not sure if it's premature to come up with our own numbers based on that right now, or wait until, you know, this housing market study at the county continues to move forward, and then we can build off of
Yeah,
that
but how
data.
long is that gonna take?
I mean, we're supposed to select the people by the end of this month. And then the next steps, I'm not sure if it's gonna go back to the commission and everything as well, but the timeline is sort of, I'll have to look into it, February to March of 2025 to kind of have it all wrapped up. So it's a ways out, but that will be more, I think, fine-tuned than just sort of picking numbers, I guess. But, you know, happy to start our own housing needs assessment at the city of Tucson level as well, or maybe that could be the recommendation, is to really do a housing needs assessment, because that looks at what the people in the community need most. We know we need affordable housing, but do we know the specific breakdown of what is actually needed?
So, Jim, can you go to the next page? The top of the page. Yeah, so, you know, based on the information that we have right now, we were making a recommendation that can change, but if there's new data that comes out in, you know, a fairly timely manner. But from the conversations we had with the commission, you know, I thought, and there were a lot of people in this discussion who were on the commission and, you know, in the audience, and also ex officios. I thought we came up with a number that we thought was reasonable for what we know the needs are, and for, you know, the work that went into this. So you know, this was supposed to go out to the commission before now, and so I'm thinking, you know, to get the conversation going, you know, is it smart, or is it wise or prudent, whatever the word is, to make this recommendation, knowing and with the caveat that we may come back with different numbers given a more specific study done by the county for 2025, because we're in 2024. I think we talked about this, you know, at around the holidays. So I think we should push this to the mayor and council.
Well, let's go back, because I think, you know, so we've got the deficit here, then we've got our supply. And I think the biggest question mark I have is this home ownership number of 94. And I don't know how we get our arms around that.
Well, the city did the work, Jim. They sent us the numbers. Jason sent us the numbers more than once. Do you have that?
No, I could pull that up.
Okay. We asked them to make the calls, they did. No one remembered that they did, and so he sent us the numbers on our last meeting.
Do you have them? I don't remember him sending those out.
Yeah, he did right on that meeting, because he was very clear that they had done the work we asked them to do. And several of us apologized for not having it, including.
This is Jason Thorpe?
Yeah. Or Megan, was it you that sent that? I thought it was Jason.
Definitely, I'm not sure.
No,
what you're-
not Megan heading, Sarah, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Sarah.
sir.
I didn't send anything recently.
Can I add one thought though? And sorry, Sarah, Sarah, I agree. Like, I think having more specific data specifically, done for our area that really takes into account all of the factors that'll make it something that's likely far more actionable is going to be really helpful. But regardless of that, we know that the current deficit is so large that like I think waiting, I don't know that there's an enormous benefit in specifically waiting on certain aspects of some of the plan. Maybe adding some caveats that, like once some of that data comes out, or making a request for the city to ensure that the city does a deeper dive or utilizes the county, like however that can be worded would be helpful. But like as of right now, I think that it's very clear that, especially the extremely low income units are the biggest deficit that there is. And so, there is some criteria out there about like how things, even from the map dashboard that you were talking about, like I think there is already some clarity of need specific to the area that is pretty substantial. And so is it possible to just come to a number, recognizing that no matter what, we're going to be sort of low on what is needed at this point in time?
Yeah, I can't find the document that you're talking about, Mary Ann. I've gone through.
I'm
all the
emailing
emails.
Jason.
So he did a presentation August 3rd of the homeless trends and data collection in Tucson. So there was a point in time count where
No.
they went, and then they looked at the bed inventory. But
No. No.
that's, yeah.
I have the email from Jason that
Thank you.
it went to Mary Ann and Maggie. So I'm gonna forward it to you, Jim, right now,
Okay.
just so that you can see what that correspondence was. But they reached out to SALT and Habitat for Humanity.
Thank you, dear.
SALT manages 128 affordable rental units and has 7 additional units in immediate development pipeline. I believe SALT is primarily rental though. And then Habitat for Humanity has numbers. So I'll just forward this, Jim, and you can sort of extrapolate those numbers into this total.
Thank you, Sarah.
Land Trust also now has 100 affordable homeownership.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. 100 plus another 8. I don't know. We'll have another and a few others, but yeah.
Okay, so this email that you sent me, Sarah, Habitat does not currently maintain permanent affordability in their home transfers, so there's no current inventory managed.
Yeah, so that's part of the problem with like the way that Habitat, I mean, it's like they sell it into it's affordable when they sell it, but they don't have a restrictive covenant to maintain affordability. So that owner can then sell it after, whatever the 5 years are, or whatever sort of restricted per their initial agreement. But let's say they live in it for 10 years, it could be sold out of affordability.
Okay, so I know, and FSL is trying to do some homeownership. I mean, how do we come up with a number for this?
Well, I think we know for sure Piclet's number is 100, right? Salt is not home ownership.
I think they do. They were selling some of their units. I
They
thought.
do, they're not always they're not always like, it depends on the income level, and they also do have rentals.
Yeah.
So they do both.
When they sell it to like an income qualified person, but is it like deed restricted in perpetuity to be maintained in affordability?
It's not a land trust, it's not a true land trust, so no, it's
Right.
not held as affordable.
But
Right.
but it's still
Yeah.
home ownership.
Yeah,
No. I think it isn't it, Megan. They used NSP funds, which requires 120% of AMI. So
well, right, but all those NSP, there's no deed restriction after the point of sale. So there was, they were affordable at the time of purchase, which is what Sarah was saying, like they were, or
okay.
they were,
I get it.
sold to qualifying households at the point of purchase. But if those households turn around and sell, they do not have to require that it's being sold to an individual at a certain income level.
I thought that NSP required that, like a 20-year or something, but I don't know.
I don't know. I don't recall the NSP2 that there may have been.
Yeah, so I don't know, but I know we were required. And we also have like now 17 rentals. So
Well, that's interesting. I mean, I guess like, and on the NSP ones, are you the ones still managing that or is it just responsibility of the homeowner going forward?
are you talking to me, Megan?
Yeah, on
Oh,
those
well-
NSP.
Well, yeah, all of the original homes that we purchased were through with NSP 1, 2, and 3 funds.
Okay.
But we are permanently affordable, so yeah, we
Well, yeah, I guess that's different because
Oh.
you're looking to do
But-
it.
and
That's good.
NSP, we're
It's your
longer
model.
than what NSP requires, right?
Yeah,
So-
got it.
So Jim, what does the Habitat say in terms of home ownership?
So
that.
Habitat. So it says they have 20 homes closing in 2024 and expects production to be 20 to 25 homes per year annually through 2030 for an estimate of 160 to 185 homes by 2030. They also plan on introducing a shared appreciation schedule in order to preserve affordability in the event of a subsequent sale.
Right, so currently, every home they build is only affordable on the first sale, right? And so we could say home ownership, first sale affordable, and count, kind of what we know of all these ones that are in Salt and Habitat. And then we could say permanently affordable home ownership, and we know that that's the land trust unit, so you could split it out. But I think for the sake of true affordability, those ones that are only affordable at the first sale aren't actually true affordable homes. I mean, it's great for those people getting in at that time, but that inventory could go away, and most of it ends up going away because people sell. And so I wouldn't want to count that as affordable home ownership if we don't have it in perpetuity.
Well, from what I understood, Jim just said that those are shared equity.
Not yet, no. They're
The
Habitat is exploring the possibility of doing shared equity and deed restricting in perpetuity, but they haven't done that yet.
Everyone
Okay.
wants to be everyone wants to be a land trust.
So in quarter 3, Jim, the Piclet had 94, not 100. They have 100 now. So we shouldn't change that number because we're talking about quarter 3 of 2023. And what I hear is that Habitat has around 20 a year. So if we add 20 to that.
Well,
for
that's,
Habitat-
then we're getting down to this. So now we're getting down to the goals.
And
So
I would
think-
also support like what Sarah said is that it's probably important to characterize these in two different categories, one that has permanent affordable restrictions and one, one that does not. Because with home ownership, like the rest of everything else, we're kind of saying this is the affordable stock. The home ownership gets more complicated because not all of it would then, be considered affordable moving forward.
Okay, so with permanent, say that again, permanent what?
I don't know how you want to.
Yeah, I disagree with you guys. If a low income person is able to get into a home that's affordable, at that time, then it's affordable housing. I mean, tax credits at year 15 can be turned into a whole different, apartment complex. So is that permanent?
Not
Oh,
really.
at year
That's-
30.
Year 30, maybe.
Yeah, so is that permanent or not?
I think it's a good-
In Arizona, to get 9% credit, certainly you have to waive going into a qualified contract, whether that's
Right.
traditionally or not, I don't know. Do you have to do it for bonds? No, but if you're
No.
using any kind of public money,
I mean,
you're
so
gonna.
we could.
Can I
really
finish?
get
Can I
to the
finish? Can I
nitty-gritty.
please? If you're using any kind of public money, you're gonna have an affordability period longer than 15 years.
Okay, so. We could really nitpick the hell out of this, but the point I'm making is there's a low income family. That was able to buy a house through SALT, Piclet, or Habitat. And it was affordable to them. And we're assuming that, they're going to go out and sell it to, somebody else to make money on it. And I don't think that's what happens. So I just feel like we're really getting into the weeds when you guys start picking it out like that.
I think you're getting into the weeds, but it's probably because we're trying to combine multiple thoughts into one number.
Yeah.
In one
So-
metric. And so like, I think you just have to have a couple clarifications to say, what are we actually putting forward right now?
So this is a snapshot in time from Q3 of 23. So we think that there was 10,920 roughly at that time. And I think that's when we had the presentation from Jason. We know there's this number of units in the development pipeline. So by 25, we should be up to about 12,000, but I think this is over this is over the next 5 years. There's 1,882 that were identified as meeting their statutory requirements for affordability, and we're at risk of falling out. That doesn't mean they all will, but they're at risk.
Okay.
Okay. So then we get down to, okay, well, where do we think we're gonna go? And so last time we talked about this, we said we'd like to see 3 9% projects per year and 2 4% projects per year, 50 new home ownership, and then 80 with everything else, for a total of 755 per year. So times 5 years, that gets us to the 10,920, plus the ones that are currently underdeveloped, assuming that 250 of the 1882 fall out. Oh, so this is our current supply stock. This is what we know is under development. This is the 755 times 5, less the 250. That's how you get to the 15,000,
Right.
right?
I think we go forward with this and stop sitting on it. We ran this by the full commission.
We did, and I think they were questioning some of the baseline data.
They were questioning the home ownership because that got brought up,
Yeah,
but now we know more.
yeah. I like the 15,000 units by 2030 because I think it's clean. It's an easy talking point to get behind. I think it's going to be a huge challenge for the city to get there. But I think it's a stretch goal for us too. This year, we're probably not going to get 9% projects. We'll be lucky if we get 2, frankly.
Yeah. I agree.
Okay.
And then, there's the 4% projects are they continue to be extremely challenging to make work right now in this environment with interest rates where they are and costs where they are and rents where they are. These projects are really not penciling out very well. Sarah, are you aware of any 4% projects under construction or in the development pipeline in Tucson besides the Impact Tucson?
No,
Yes,
what?
FHR.
Oh, well, other than that one,
Do
We
tell
are-
Megan.
but it's under, you're under construction. You're not like,
No. We're early. We're still in escrow and need mayor council approval on a zone.
change.
Sort
Or
of.
conditions, yeah, that
Condition
conditions
change.
thing. Okay.
Yeah, so not hoping to pursue, but as Jim said, it's incredibly hard to make work.
Where is your project, Megan?
Campbell Drexel.
Okay.
Sorry, Megan.
It's okay. I won't
You
be-
never told me about that one. I knew it was a thing, but I didn't know what kind of a thing it was.
Yeah, well,
Now I know.
now I feel like it's out in the world, so now I'm afraid for it. Like, everyone keep your fingers crossed.
Well, I think that's great that you guys are trying to do that. If I can help you, let me know.
Thanks, Jim.
All right, well, going back to this topic, I do think that this is a stretch goal for Tucson. But it's a nice talking point for us. So I guess any other thoughts or comments on the goal per year, the yearly goals and the 2030 goal?
I think that you guys have done a great job, and as staff and not really the one driving it, right? But and as someone who would prefer to see a housing needs study and assessment done, I think that you guys have done a really good job at taking what you have and what you know and coming up with a really good number. And, in sort of in light of saying the longer, more robust way to do this is to get a needs assessment done and to really look at the market and really understand what is needed in our community. But we've taken this effort I feel like you guys have done this with the knowledge that you have to just get a number out there. Like you stated, Marianne, saying we don't want to wait 2 years to get a full study done. We want to try to set a target that we know we can start to work towards now, and then also giving yourselves that ability to say, let's get a real needs assessment at some point, or, especially because if we have, we know we need affordable housing, but maybe, and what we're seeing in a lot of other communities across the country is a lot of the need is actually at the 80 to 120% AMI range, which is not what LIHTC is building, right? And so not knowing exactly what is needed by the community, it's hard to know exactly what type of product to be built. So, but I think that what we've come up with is really robust in looking at what we know and what we know we could accomplish potentially, and just setting a goal for ourselves to even just begin working towards, like you said, Marianne.
So is this accurate? We need to have a thorough needs assessment completed. And there's an effort underway between Pima County and the city of Tucson to complete a housing needs assessment. But it's likely that this will not be complete within the next 2 years. Is that right?
I think, yeah, it's supposed to be complete next year, so maybe year and a half. Also, they're calling it a housing market study. Which has like kind of a needs assessment component in it, but it's not like a full needs assessment. So I would change that to
Housing.
housing market study.
Study, which is estimated to be complete.
I think in 2025.
In 2025.
But I still do think that you saying that we should have a housing study could get something off the ground more specific to the city and more targeted to just being a pure needs assessment.
Okay,
If I hear what you're saying correctly, Megan, or Sarah, I'm sorry. It's,
Okay.
is that, we should say this, the information provided is based on the best information available. However, we recommend a specific housing needs study for Tucson.
I personally think that would be a great way to put it. And I
Okay.
think that does what what you want to do, right? Like get something out there and get the ball rolling on something.
Right. So
so is this,
Jim, I don't think the sentence you just put in there is necessary.
which one?
As the information becomes available, it will be incorporated into this document. What I think we need to say is the information provided here is based on the best information available. And we recommend that the city partake in a specific housing needs assessment.
But okay,
Yes.
okay,
Okay, so can we vote on this and then send it? So we can
Sure.
get this off our plate and done.
Anybody want to make a motion to kick this back up to the commission?
Do we have to kick it to the commission?
We do.
Oh my God.
We need the overall commission's, because it's the commission that actually makes the recommendations,
Yeah, okay.
not the subcommittee.
Yep, I vote to kick it up and put it on our next meeting agenda.
Okay,
Do I
Maggie,
second?
you want to
Yeah. I'll
second it?
Yeah.
All right, everyone in favor?
Aye.
Mary Ann, you in favor?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
Yes, I am.
I'm in favor also, so, okay. That's good, thank you, guys. I know this is very difficult stuff.
So, can I make a recommendation for our next agenda?
Yes,
Okay.
okay, so that actually concludes agenda item number 3. Agenda item number 4 is our next meeting is May 15th. And our next full commission meeting is May 2nd, which yeah, May 2nd. So what other agenda items would you guys like to see?
I'm looking for the statute that we talked about recently. In our agenda I would like to discuss the I can't find my notes. Sarah, do you remember that statute that had to do with housing trust funds? Or
No. That was
impact
the
fees?
impact fees.
Yeah,
I don't remember the statute off the top of my head, but I'll
okay.
get it and I'll,
okay.
but you would like that to be a discussion topic for the next meeting?
Yeah, I'd like to lead that discussion.
So just to bring everybody up to speed on what that is, so we had a meeting last week to talk. So the city is going through every 5 years, they have to go through an assessment of impact fees. And that is underway, has to be complete by beginning of next year. And so we'd like to have input to that. Neto?
Jim, just wanted to remind commissioners that the May 2nd commission meeting will be a hybrid meeting in person at the Housing First Division Office on Irvington Road off of South 6th Avenue from 4 to 5:30, followed by a kickoff, HCD kickoff for the P-CHIP outreach campaign next door at El Pueblo Neighborhood Center. And again, we invite the commissioners to attend the P-CHIP kickoff after the commission meeting.
Right, this I'm wanting on the agenda for the next housing commission meeting, housing subcommittee, not the CEHD full commission.
No, I got that. I
Okay.
was just reminding folks about the May 2nd meeting.
What's the location of that again?
The location of the commission meeting
Oh, the
is at
El Pueblo Neighborhood Center?
well, the commission meeting is at the Housing First, which is 195 West Irvington. It's just immediately west of the El Pueblo Neighborhood Center. El Pueblo is at Irvington and South 6.
Yeah,
And
the meeting invite doesn't say that. That's why I was just adding it.
Okay, I'll change it.
Stop by Newport at the rodeo while you're there.
There you go.
Okay, it's a state statute ARS 9-463.05.
Say that again?
It's ARS 9-463.05.
Okay.
And then ARS 9-500.05.
Marion, did you say you wanted to lead that discussion or?
I do.
Okay,
So I'm gonna look into the statute, and then I may, I think from from that discussion we have in our next housing commission meeting, then Sarah, if we have questions, you can talk to your consultants about it rather than
Yep.
And come back, and then I think the next step would be advocacy through the along with the Arizona Housing Coalition, who I met with some today.
What other agenda items would the commissioners like to see? One of the things I was thinking about is potentially providing written comments to ADOH on feedback for the next year's QAP.
Yeah,
Do you guys think that's a good idea or not?
I do. I think it's a good idea.
I would like, I really would like to talk about home ownership. I feel like I'm always beating this, but I'm actually probably the only home ownership advocate on the commission. And I feel that, especially because right now we have, increasing costs and increasing interest rates, that I feel people are, like I've said before, just, don't think that it's a possibility, yet it's the only way to create wealth, and yeah, sustainability, a sustainable and affordable home is important. but I also feel that there is some more room for this type of discussion.
Mhm.
June is actually home ownership month. And hello, and June 8th, by the way, we're having a, and it's so apparent, because in the past, the city and the county used to have a big home ownership fair type of thing. Well, they're no longer doing that. Don't know why. So we did it last year. We had tons of people coming. We were overwhelmed. And this year we're holding it at the El Rio Center, June 8th, 9 to 12. It's a Saturday. We have, everybody, title companies, we have everything. So, I just wanted to announce that, and I, would like to really, I don't want to beat the dead horse anymore. I just kind of want to make sure that that this is something that we're discussing, that we're discussing, that home ownership does matter. Anyways, I'll shut up.
So, well, no, Maggie, I agree. I think we need to support that. So, I guess maybe we should talk offline. And I think what would be really helpful is if we come back to the subcommittee with a set of recommendations on what we think the subcommittee
Okay.
should be proposing that the city can do to help with this problem. Because it's out of my bailiwick, so it's not something I'm personally
Right.
feel like I have much to add, but I think if you and Megan and, Megan also I think does some of it too, right, Megan?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're also.
Yeah. I
That's
think
why
maybe.
we want her on the commission, but she doesn't wanna.
Oh,
Mhm.
But I'm
Maybe-
wondering, but I do feel we do need more representation, more homeownership representation on it. It's on the commission, so just,
I agree, but maybe the three of us grab lunch or something this next month and brainstorm on what we think, some recommendations are and then try to start vetting them out.
Watch for
okay,
open
are you
meeting
gonna
law.
get in trouble for that?
Watch for open meeting law.
Yeah, it's open meeting laws, you guys.
That does that apply? That can't apply to a subcommittee with 3 members.
well, and there's only
I-
two of us
I-
are the members,
yeah.
right?
I
For the-
don't know.
Yeah.
Matters
I
what
thi-
your quorum is, I believe, but don't know what that amount is, but you also
Well,
don't want to discuss, yeah.
2's a quorum, but I
we
thought
can have a
that
conversation.
applied to the overall commission. I mean, we can't have a situation where 2 people
No.
can't talk because they make up a majority.
Yeah, I'll double check, but I think you're right, Jim. I don't think it applies to the subcommittee.
Yeah.
I still don't think it would apply to the subcommittee, but because Jim and I are members of the commission, but Megan is.
Yeah,
is
I'm not.
PCO.
Yep.
It's,
Mhm.
it's.
Oh,
it's
I'm
in
not even, I'm
regards-
just a regular attendee. I'm not even.
Right.
next to
Oh,
you.
I
I'm
thought-
not getting you in
right.
trouble at all.
Oh, so I think it's still in regards to the commission. I don't know what that priority is, but
Yeah. All right. So we'll get something on the books here, just the 3 of us.
I'm going on vacation May 9th through the 21st.
All right.
I told you guys I'm being dragged to go see Taylor Swift, right?
Oh, gosh.
But in Stockholm, Sweden, so I'm okay with that.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, and we got the Centurion party coming up May 4th. Star Wars theme event this year. And Smash Mouth's gonna be coming to play. So if any of you are interested in coming, let me know.
Sounds like fun.
Jim, can I throw one item out? I think as we talk through numbers and how we make some of this happen, so much of it is wrapped around zoning and having like a total reform of the current zoning codes. So I don't know how that, I think adding that 4th goal was really important, but putting something forward to move that along or making a request maybe of staff in terms of like what's possible. But I think that's gonna be, we all know that has an enormous impact on the ability to
Yeah,
actually build affordable housing.
that was brought up at the last full commission meeting, and we asked Corin Manning to provide an update on what's going on with the changes to the zoning code in relationship to housing. So she was planning on giving an update to the overall commission May 2nd. So I think we hear her
Hearing a lot
out.
of music. Who's got the
Hmm?
music? Who's got the music going on?
I don't hear any.
I don't hear any either.
Either.
Oh, I'm getting all this music. It's like jazz music coming on. The hell?
Not
Okay,
me.
that's weird.
Mary Ann's hearing voices.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
you probably
hearing,
have a internet browser open that's also playing music.
oh, I'd rather hear music than voices.
So
Well-
Megan, let's hear what Corin has to say, and then if we want to, if we want to add something to the agenda, we can definitely do that.
Sure, and maybe, I would recommend future places, sometimes seeing what some other communities have done or are working on can also be helpful, so.
Okay.
So it might be helpful to just at least put something on the, have something on the agenda to continue to push the conversation forward and maybe have Corin have a more present role.
Yep, I like it. All right, you guys, thank you very much. We are adjourned.
Thank you. Good night.
Okay. have a
Bye,
good night.
everybody. Thank you, David,
you.
Mike, and Megan.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Sarah and Ernesto.